It is Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, and I am Robin from Western Mass, the co-host of the Morgellons Call of the Week. And it is a cold, sunny day here in Western Massachusetts. And that is not an April Fool's joke. It's really cold. So I'm so glad to be here. Morgellons Call of the Week is an essential part of my life and getting my life back. And it is based on the book, the diet, the protocols in Richard Kuhn's book, How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons and Other Skin Parasites. Richard Kuhn, in my opinion, is a leading expert in Morgellons and other skin parasites because he has experienced them and he has overcome them, and he has done research. He discovered over a period of 3 years this diet, which, you know, Richard says it puts parasites to sleep. We don't know exactly how it works, but we know it does work. And nothing will work if you don't get the diet to kick in. So this call is for people who are reading the book, working the protocols, and need help, guidance, and a community to be part of. I'm so grateful to be part of this community, and I'm so grateful. You know, Richard is here with us every week. He answers questions. He answers emails. He's available to help. He cares deeply. So at this time, I would like to welcome the author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons and Other Skin Parasites, Richard Kuhn.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me ask you a question, Robin. Did it ever happen to you that you thought that would be impossible to ever get your life back? Did you ever get to that point where you thought that nothing would work, it would be impossible?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how I could burn my house down. Yeah.
Mary, how about you? Did you ever get to a place where you thought it would be impossible? That it was like a hole you were stuck in, and you were never going to be able to get out, and never going to enjoy life to any degree whatsoever? Mary?
She's probably muted still.
Okay, we lost Mary. All right. Well, if somebody at that time had read this quote to you, what would you have thought? Impossible is just an opinion. It's by Paulo Coelho. What would you have thought? You know, if you being in that situation where you couldn't find an answer, wanted to burn your house down, what would you have thought if somebody read you that quote? Robin?
Mary, your line is unmuted.
Mary's unmuted?
I'm unmuted. Sorry, I was talking. I didn't realize I was muted.
So, if somebody said that, did you ever get to a position, Mary, where you thought it would be impossible to get your life back?
Yes, and in fact, I had a small fire in my living room. I had an electrical cord malfunction, and I first thing I did was stomp out the carpet because the carpet was on fire, and then I wondered why I did that and didn't just let the house burn.
Seems to be a theme here. Burn that house down. And if somebody had read you this quote, "Impossible is just an opinion," what would you have told them at that time?
Nothing that I can repeat on the air.
Well, I was in the same boat as the two of you, and I thought it would be impossible. I had no idea where these organisms came from, what the hell they were, or how to get my life back, how to feel normal again. And if somebody said impossible is just an opinion, I would have said you're full of it, because this is impossible. Well, fortunately, I proved myself wrong and helped many of you prove yourself wrong, thinking that would be impossible to get your life back. One of the purposes of this call is to provide some passion. And here's another quote: "Your passion is waiting for your courage to catch up." So here we are. We're here to provide the passion, the insights, and inspiration for you to get your life back, because the three of us know it's not an easy task. But the amazing thing is that once you make this diet work, and that can be within days, 2 days. We've had 3 people, I think, last week testify, share that they made the diet work within 2 days. And within 2 days, they went from itching 24/7 and biting and all that misery to being able to sleep through the night and feeling peaceful and calm, and knowing that there was a cause and effect relationship between what they ate and what they experienced. And whether or not the diet puts these things to sleep or into a trance, we don't know. But my God, it's so wonderful to be able to have something to rely on. Now, what the diet does is it gives you an opportunity to begin getting your life back. And because there are many complications involved with Morgellons. Some people, your skin has already been ruined layers deep, and you want to get that skin regrown and healthy again. Some of you, your teeth have been affected, your mouth, your different organs in your body are not performing to the best of their ability. So there are factors. And today we're talking about intestinal parasites. Now, according to Dr. Davidson here in New Jersey, who's a parasitologist, his opinion is that how many of us have intestinal parasites, Robin? Do you know? Percentage-wise. Would you say 60%, 50%?
I think it's something like 99.9%.
His opinion is if you've got a heartbeat, you've got intestinal parasites. But don't get all bent out of shape. You know, we all have them, and we live with them copacetically for many, many years. You know, they're just guys that run around, and along comes Morgellons, and bang, they can become a hell of a big problem, and suddenly become the problem. So there are many, many conditions that people can have that are dormant. Lyme disease. People can have Lyme disease for many years and be dormant. You can have Morgellons Support for many years and it be dormant. And along comes Morgellons, and suddenly these things have a way of waking up and taking the forefront. And the antidote for Morgellons is pretty simple. It's said to be, I'm not making a claim, this is what is said to be, simply alkalizing your body and boosting boron, taking boron. And that's the antidote for Morgellons, but it's not the antidote for intestinal parasites. And until we get the intestinal parasites, should they become the factor, well, the Morgellons isn't going to be getting much better. It's my opinion. Okay, so what do we do for intestinal parasites? Typically, we go for cleansing. We scour the internet for intestinal cleanses. And intestinal cleanses, there are many, and they can be cheap and they can be expensive, but typically they contain one of two or both ingredients. Do you know what they are? What the ingredients are, Robin? Can you fill in the blank?
There's Fenben, there's
No, the ingredients in intestinal cleanses that cause us trouble.
Baking soda?
Well, baking soda is actually good, but sorry to put you on the spot. The ingredients are wormwood and black walnut.
Oh, the bad ingredients. Sorry.
Yeah, the ingredients that cause us trouble. Now, the problem with them is that, from my experience in working with, I don't know, thousands of people over the years, approximately 90% of us who are dealing with Morgellons are also dealing with columbola, springtails, snow fleas. Out of about 6,000 species of columbola, there are about 19 that are reported to enjoy the flesh of man. And the interesting thing is that wormwood and black walnut hull both have a way of feeding columbola. So while you may be getting rid of intestinal parasites, you're always aggravating the situation that you may be dealing with columbola. As I said, 90% of us are dealing with both. It seemed that years ago it was about 50-50. 50% of us had columbola and 50% of us had Morgellons, and I don't know what's happened, but over the years it seems that 90% is where we're at right now. So, what are safe ways of getting rid of intestinal parasites? Well, the one tried and true technique, and where I recommend starting, and because I'm making recommendations now, let me tell you, the FDA requires me to inform you that before you start the King diet or the Morgellons diet, or accept any of our recommendations, you discuss them thoroughly with your doctor to make sure they do not interfere with any health problems you're having. The FDA and AMA require us to tell you that we're not trained as physicians. We have not passed the rigorous testing, licensing. So therefore, only doctors can prescribe, can diagnose, treat, or cure organic diseases. So we can't do that. We don't have the education or the certifications. But we can educate you. So we can educate you how to utilize the King diet, the Morgellons diet to your benefit, how to clean them out of your skin, how to clean the organisms out of your environment, and how to build health and immune functioning through targeted supplements. And that's specifically what we're going to be talking about, is what to take, what to use to cleanse the intestinal parasites. Now, intestinal parasites are called nematodes, called helmets. And they can be pinworms, roundworms, flatworms, threadworms, tapeworms, typically. And Strongyloides is some type of threadworm, flatworm, roundworm. Different sources call it different things. So, but it can be diagnosed by having a blood test and sent off to Quest Labs, and they can diagnose it, and there are treatment for Strongyloides cervicalis. It also, now, so starting off with general cleansing of the intestinal areas for these parasites, you want to start with diatomaceous earth. Food grade diatomaceous earth in water 3 times a day. If you go into the blog post, there's a blog about an accelerated program using diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth, a silica. And there are some so-called experts. Well, the one was a doctor, he was in California. He's no longer, Carju, claimed that silica is what causes Morgellons. Well, that's untrue. Totally untrue. Totally fabrication. Must have been a witch hunt, because silica is fine. Nothing wrong with it. It actually, when you consume it, food grade, it actually gets into the bloodstream and helps there as well. Another thing I recommend is consuming our mouthwash. The mouthwash is nature's gift, which is organic carbon. It's very much like consuming charcoal, which is crystalline carbon, and it helps cleanse out the intestines, and that's a good place to start with those two things. Now, when we get into medications, we're getting into things like ivermectin. Now, ivermectin is a dewormer and is only recommended for short periods of time. You do a dose now, or maybe you do a dose later, and there's a blog post that goes into the recommendations on how to do ivermectin, and if you have any questions, you can always contact the people at shopformorgallons.com. Nancy is her name. In fact, there's a video. If you go back in these videos and search, she was a guest, and she went through all of these medications, so I invite you to do that. I learned a lot from that. But ivermectin generally isn't something that makes a big difference when it comes to Morgellons and actually dealing with the intestinal parasites from my experience over the years. Over the years, many people have reported they've used ivermectin, and to me, it's more like a status quo thing. You don't get much worse, but you really don't get much better. And I don't know exactly why, but what we find is fenbendazole is far better in terms of dealing with intestinal parasites and other nematodes that may be in your body. So fenbendazole is a much lower dosage. There are two doses, 222 milligrams and 444 milligrams. The 222 daily, the 444 you take 3 days, and then you're off for 3 days, and then you take 3 days again, and you're off for 4 days. And you do this maybe over 6 months. Now, the dosage is, according to Nancy, the gal at shopformorgallons.com, is not a deworming dose. It's a dose that would deworm a 10-pound ball. So, being most of us are at least 100 pounds or more, fenbendazole is not used necessarily as a dewormer. In fact, it's not used as a dewormer. It's used as a method of cutting off the tubules' ability of these organisms to suck up nourishment. So it's used as a way to starve them out of existence, and not to actually physically destroy them, but starving their ability to take up nourishment. And she also recommends that lufeneron be used in conjunction with fenbendazole. Lufeneron, as I initially thought, was only dealing with fungal organisms, actually is a little more rounded in its usage and should likewise be used with the approach. So to sum it up, rather than go on the internet and find some cleansing protocol, and if you read the ingredients, they're going to be most likely wormwood or black walnut hull, stay away from them. Go the approach of the diatomaceous food grade, along with consuming the mouthwash. The mouthwash is the best mouthwash in the world for helping your mouth and healing, and you can actually draw it up into your sinuses if you want. You can consume it, and it helps clean the intestines. Followed up by fenben and what is the I got a brain fart.
Ivermectin.
Lufeneron. And ivermectin, I'd say more clear that unless you know what you're doing with it and how to actually use it, I'd stay clear of it. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
I do. I wanted to add that the baking soda protocol and diatomaceous earth, you start with like a half a teaspoon of each in 8 ounces of water, and the water could be like with lemon juice and stevia to make it palatable. And over a period of 7 to 10 days, you build up to a tablespoon twice a day.
Right.
And you start with that little bit twice a day, and each day you add a little more. Once you hit the tablespoon, you stop, and you give your body a chance to recover, and you'll probably have a pretty strong reaction. So you want to, and you can repeat it, but you want to give yourself time in between.
Correct. Now, the baking soda is not used for intestinal parasites, but it's part of the protocol to deal with Morgellons in terms of alkalizing your body. So as I stated earlier, it said that the solution to Morgellons is to alkalize your body. You do that with baking soda. You can do that with ionic minerals and boron. That would be the antidote for Morgellons itself. And in addition to that, you can add in the collagen. There's a collagen supplement that we have. You can add in the collagen, and you can flavor it with lemon or lime. Excellent. Okay.
We've been talking about intestinal parasites in particular, and we're about to enter our Q&A session.
Chris, who do we have?
Nick.
Hi, Nick.
How you doing, Rich? I just got to say that I'm one of the ones that listened to your protocols, and if it wasn't for your support group, I wouldn't be here today. I mean, I got to say I stuck with the diet. I stuck with the supplements you suggested. I listened to Robin, Chris. I mean, I'm a miracle standing. A couple of years ago, I got remarried again. My life is great. I can lay down, and I'm laying down right now, and I'm not itching, no biting, no. I sleep all right. I'm around people. I never thought I would get my life back without. Thank you for everything, and
So you thought it would be impossible too, right?
And you too.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I noticed your Facebook post. Thank you. Thank you so much for mentioning me in your Facebook post.
Yes. I mean, I was going to jump off a bridge. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, when that starts happening, I feel bad for people when that happens, because if they would just stick with the diet and listen to you, they'd probably feel a lot better.
Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you. And best of luck in your new relationship and marriage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's next, Chris?
Jason.
Jason. Hello? Jason? You have a question there, Mary?
Yes, I do, but Jason's new and he may not know to unmute himself. He needs to hit *6. So,
Unmuting.
I'll start with the questions.
Yeah, I think, yeah, okay.
The first one is from Deborah, and she says, I need your help. Please help me find a doctor that works with parasites in Raleigh, North Carolina.
You want to answer that, Robin?
I couldn't hear.
She's looking for a doctor who works with parasites in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, that works with parasites?
Morgellons.
Well, there are doctors listed at the end of the book who will work remotely and charge thousands of dollars. And there is a Lyme literate doctor in East Longmeadow that I went to for a long time who was very sympathetic but knew nothing about Morgellons. So
what's the likelihood of finding somebody in Raleigh, North Carolina knows anything about Morgellons?
Pretty much zero.
Zero, yeah. Okay, so.
I mean, your best bet is to read the book and start doing the protocols.
Read the book, right.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have Jason? Jason? Hello?
No, Anna can go. I don't know what happened.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, as always, for your support. I have a quick question. Have you ever heard of the Morgellons or Lyme, you mentioned that it could be dormant for years. Could that be possibly passed down in utero?
I have no idea. Probably it could be, perhaps. I have no idea, though.
Yeah.
I can. Are you talking about Lyme disease?
Yes, Lyme, or and then
well, it's controversial. Just like chronic Lyme is controversial. Some people say it can be transmitted that way, and other people say no way. So, I mean, I've never heard of it being transmitted to anyone that way, but there's a lot about Lyme that is controversial and unknown.
So we're not going to weigh in on that one.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because if you mention Morgellons, it's kind of like a curse word, which is weird to me. How that the label, causes a lot of anxiety. Or if you say mice to a physician, they could, get very reactive.
Well, you can say a mother will pass on Morgellons to the child if the child is susceptible, but not necessarily through birth, but through contact, through physical contact, definitely. Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
I was just curious. Thanks.
Who's next?
Don.
Hi, Don. Hello?
Don, 1403.
Hello? We have trouble getting people. All right, who's next? Got another question, Mary?
Yes. This one says, hello, Richard. First, I want to thank you for all of your support and efforts that you put into this work. You are a true hero in my book. I hope you're doing well. You may or may not remember, but you and I briefly spoke in the past. I love receiving the emails and all the information you provide. I started taking the Morgellons cocktail and the parasite stop supplement, and what a difference I've noticed. These products work. I would like to start taking the meds from Dr. Luna also, as I know they would kill these parasites. Instead, I do the bare minimum, as I feel like my situation is a lost cause. My entire family is afflicted with this condition, but they refuse to do anything about it. I know your protocols work, but I believe it will defeat the purpose if I'm the only one in my family to follow these guidelines, and I just get reinfected. Therefore, I feel like I'm left with only two choices. Follow what needs to be done to stay away from my family, or suffer with it because I don't want to separate myself from my family. With all this being said, I was hoping either you or your coaches would have some sort of suggestion or recommendation. Thank you, Terry.
That's a tough one. What do you think, Robin?
I'm having such a hard time hearing everyone but you. They're very muffled. I'm sorry. Can you just give me the gist of it?
Yes, this lady's doing well with the protocol. She's doing well herself. She's living in a family unit that is contaminated. And her question is, should she shun and stay away from them and go on her life herself, or should she suffer and stay with them?
Well, that's tough.
That's tough, isn't it?
That's really tough. I mean,
that's between a rock and a hard place. There's so many dynamics that we would have to look into.
There's no simple answer to that because, I don't know how much she has shared with them, if she's given them, like your book or Dr. Sabley's book, just to help them see that it's real, and if they're open to some of the protocols. Some people are infested and it doesn't affect them, and they're just like carriers, and all they need to do is laundry, and they'll be okay. But
it's tough.
It's a tough question to answer, and we can't say isolate from your family. Nobody can tell you to do that. That's such a hard decision.
Yeah, you got to weigh the price of each option that you have, and like you said, maybe you can get them to read the book and to acknowledge they have a problem and participate. But,
right.
So, okay, thank you. Chris, we got somebody?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
You got another question?
Yes, I do. It says, hello, I hope your day is going well. Mine is for the most part, except for living with this. It's changed my world around, but I'm sure you're familiar with that. But anyways, I just had a couple of questions if you can answer them for me. Number one, is this a living thing, a worm, or what? It has ridges on it and moves, but I hear no respiratory system. Is it alive?
Well, Morgellons can manifest itself in many, many different ways. So no two people have, as I said many times, exactly the same symptoms or cofactors. So some people have worms, nematodes, that actually come from their skin. Others have cocoon-like waspy insects come from their skin. Some people have barbs, plastic-like barbs, 3/4 of an inch in length to 3 inches in length. So it's hard. Morgellons is so overall encompassing. It seems to hijack any kind of organism that is in your body, can infect you, and manipulate the DNA of that organism so it doesn't look like a wasp, it doesn't look like the real worm, it doesn't look like the real spider. It looks different, looks weird, looks like it comes from outer space. So it's a DNA type of manipulation that Morgellons is contributing to, is what I've come to understand from what I've read and studied over the years and the people I've talked to. But it all starts at the same place. Start the diet, read the book, and then we can isolate the cofactors. The first part of this program, we talked about Fenben. So worm-like worm-like organism. We go with exactly the first part of this program: the fenbenzidol, the lefenuron, and diatomaceous earth. And okay, and what's the rest of it?
The rest of it is number 2. Do I have 2 different things? I know I have Morgellons, but there's no doubt about that. But does it eat the flesh from your face if it's in your teeth? That's where my trauma comes from. It's completely unbelievable what it's doing to my gums, my nose, inside. It's all my teeth. How do I get it out?
I think she said there's like a flesh-eating thing going on there.
Yes.
Well, that's definitely where you want to go to your doctor. That's not something I would want to touch. MRSA is a flesh-eating thing. There's another complication. The thorny-headed worm can be like a flesh-eating thing, and these are not things that I even want to touch and or claim to know anything about. So that's where you definitely want to seek the physician's advice, and hopefully there's some test or something that can be made to identify those cofactors. Now, those cofactors are important to deal with, but they're out of my expertise. So, okay, anybody else, Chris? Did we get the...
We're done.
We're done?
Yep.
Well, that concludes this portion of the program.